I want to talk about something that probably everyone knows about it. Every single person has experienced it, being one, listening to one. So we all know about this. It's called the mind poison, and the biggest mind poison ever can cause 90% of a dysfunctional brain is gossip. You can do everything great in your life, but gossip is a brain mind poison. Now think about it. Would you eat poison knowing it's poison, knowing it's damaging your body? Gossip is the number one brain poison because it's causing so much damage to your brain. It's affecting the functionality of your brain, the mechanism of your brain, and it basically it takes your brain down a spiral of a downward trend. So when someone's gossiping, you've really got to think about this. The person doing the gossiper and it's the person that's receiving the gossiping, both are being hurt. Both are being hurt by this brain poison. Now initially, the gossip is a dopamine hit because people want to hear a scandal. The brain wants to hear a rumor. It's always easier to hear about a negative story about someone else. Let's talk about that boss. Let's talk about that sex scandal in the office, etc., etc., etc. And whilst it's making us feel good, it's the cheapest ever dopamine hit for your brain. It is brain poison. It's hurting your brain, and this is one of the reasons why we're having a high level of depression and a high level of anxiety, because there's people out there that work so hard and they do all the right things and they do all the right courses and they do all the right study, but for some reason they're still feeling upset and their brain function is still not where it should be. Number one reason, gossip, because you're feeding your brain gossip. It is a brain and mind poison. You can go and do all the exercises, you can go and eat all the right foods, but if you're eating poison every day, your brain is going to slowly die. And when you are gossiping or being the receiver of gossip every single day, your brain is slowly dying. That's when you procrastinate. That's when you pick up all those addictions like alcohol and drugs and junk food and sugars and all those things that are really bad for us. So here's a little test, and I want you to think about it. I want to put it in the post underneath so you can see there's 9 questions that I'm going to ask you. And if you answer yes to one of them, you're in the gossip territory. Now, it's okay. That's okay. Because most people are, and most people don't even realize the damage it's causing to their brain. Think about this. You get rid of this poison, from your head, and you've got a 90% better functionality in your brain. Because then your brain now starts to think differently. It's not thinking about negativity. It's not thinking about all these discussions that really go nowhere. It's thinking about things that it needs to do. It's thinking about action. It's thinking about problem solving. It's thinking about ideas. It's thinking about how you can make things happen. Because they're the conversation you'll start having. Once you get rid of that conversation, you'll start having the ideas conversation, the positive conversation, the people that come into your life that support you and you support them. They're the conversations that help your brain. So you get rid of gossip, all of a sudden the brain function increases by 90%. And you notice it, and you're feeling healthier, and you're feeling more positive, and you get a long-term dopamine hit. In other words, because of that long-term benefit that you get, it's not a cheap dopamine hit, it's a long-term dopamine hit, because your brain needs to release dopamine, and there's nothing better than when you're releasing dopamine for something on ideas that you have a desire for. But what we can't have is gossip, because gossip is killing your ideas and it's killing you. So here's the test. This is a test for you, okay? Do you start conversations by, let me tell you about someone? So someone comes to you, or you go to them and say, hey, let me tell you about someone. Do you start a conversation? Okay, yes or no? Don't tell anybody, but have you ever heard someone ring you up and say, hey, listen, don't tell anybody, I'm telling you something, but please don't tell anybody? Yes or no? Do you start conversations like that? Yes or no? Because if you answer yes or yes to any of these questions and they're underneath in the post, you're in gossip territory. Next question, can I tell you a secret about blah, blah, blah? Now, how many times does that happen in the office? Now this is the thing, you may not be a gossiper, but someone comes to you in the office and says, hey, let me tell you a secret about so-and-so and so, okay? The moment that happens, the person that's doing it, first of all, is a gossiper and he's already got a damaged brain, and then 90% functionality of their brain is trending downwards. But they're also dragging you into that conversation, and all of a sudden, you now are dragged into this, whether you like it or not. And so, if someone comes to you and says, hey, can I tell you a secret about blah, 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 they're basically taking the poison, they're giving you poison. Now think about that, okay? The next one, do you like spreading rumors or scandals about others? Do you get excitement? And it's people that get excitement out of doing that. And the reason why they do that, because it's a cheap dopamine hit. It's because the absence of an ecstatic desire means you're going to gossip, because you need that dopamine hit. Okay? So you're going to need to feel something and say, okay, let me spread a rumor about someone. Let me find something and spread it. I need a scandal. I need to spread it to someone so I could talk to someone about it. Is that you? Yes or no? And again, if you answer yes to any of these, you are in gossip territory, which means you're poisoning your brain. And if you're a receiver of this, you're poisoning your brain. So you have to learn to stop doing this, number one. And remember, habits. Habits are the key here. You can't just do it once or twice and expect a change. You've got to do this over at least 21 days and 30 days until it becomes a long-term habit. Because once you stop this, your brain function will explode. I mean, you're not going to have this, number one. That in itself is going to change your thinking, your thoughts, your actions, your results, the conversations around you, everything about you, and you'll see how great you will feel. Remember, these kind of exercises were taught to me by my mentor, and getting rid of this kind of stuff, just eliminating that, automatically lifts your brain 90%. Okay, because gossip decreases the functionality of your brain by 90%. And it's a downward trend. The other one, do you enjoy judging others based on hearsay? So someone rings you up and says, hey, guess what I heard? I heard so-and-so told me this and this about someone else. Is that you? That's one of the words. That's just so common, people. And again, it's a cheap dopamine hit. People love to spread rumors about what they heard about someone, and it's damaging both brains, the person that's giving that gossip and the person that's receiving that gossip. And it's exciting because it's a cheap dopamine hit, but it's causing long-term damage to your brain. What's the other one? Are you more excited? So are you excited by listening to the failures of others than the successes of others? So in other words, do you get happier, do you get more excited when you hear someone's failed? Or do you get more excited when you hear someone's success? When you hear someone's successes? And so, unfortunately, most people get a dopamine hit when they hear someone fails, because it makes them feel okay, makes them feel good that, hey, they're not doing so great in their life. So when you hear about someone else failure, it distracts us from, hey, did you see that? Hey, he tried that, he failed, he lost a lot of money. You're spreading that rumor because it makes you feel good. It's a cheap dopamine hit, but it's still damaging your brain. So the problem with this is it makes you feel good like a drug initially, like taking sugar and taking junk food initially, but it's a long-term decline. What else? Do you ever feel a sense of satisfaction sharing negative news about someone else? So do you feel that sense of satisfaction when you are spreading negative news? Does it make you feel good when you hear some negative news and then all of a sudden you spread it to somebody else? Again, that's causing damage because you are actually drinking mind poison. And finally, does gossip often occupy a big portion of all your conversation? Now think about this. This may mean every day, and this is what I do. At the end of every day, I reflect on the conversations that I've had. I write down all the conversations, all the telephone conversations I had. And I look at this chart here, and what portion of that was gossip? If you answer yes to anything over here, it's in gossip territory. It's simple, so easy to do, anyone can do it, you can do it today. Write this down. Be honest with yourself. It's okay to say yes to a few of those things because mostly everyone's here because everyone is seeking a cheap dopamine. Hey, this is why news and media is always 99% negative because they know most people are here, so they're feeding that. But guess what? It's really, really bad for the brain. It's bad for the functionality of the brain, and this is why people never get ahead in life. This is why a lot of people, they divert their unfulfillment into things like cheap dopamines, like again, addictions, scrolling on social media, drugs, alcohol, junk food, all that stuff that's really bad for you. And so my recommendation is this. What I do is I write all the conversations that I've had, even the messages. What portion of that falls into this category? And then I put a percentage of that. So I've had 20 conversations today, 4 of those or 5 of those conversations were gossip. So I say, okay, well, 5 of those conversations that I've done, it's 25% of the conversations today was gossip. That's 25% poison into my brain. So my goal is to reduce that. My goal is to get it to 0. I want to go to 0% gossip because I want to put 0% of poison in my brain. So do this exercise, do it on your own. You don't have to tell anyone, just do it. Answer it correctly. Then, based on this, reflect at the end of the day. And then see all the conversation there and how much of this portion of every conversation fell into this category. And then you can identify the percentage of gossip. And that's the percentage of poison that you put into your brain. Now, the less the percentage, the more successful you're going to be. The more successful you're going to be in chasing your ideas, the better you're going to feel, the better your relationships are going to get, the better your work ethic's going to get, the more passion you're going to get, the more focused and deliberate you're going to get with your time. The higher this percentage, very simple, the higher the gossip percentage, the worse your life's going to get, the unhealthier your life's going to get, the worse your relationship's going to get. And it's going to be a journey. The higher the gossip percentage, the worse you're going to end up. And you're going to end up very unhappy, very miserable, very negative, blaming the whole world for why you didn't succeed or you didn't get what you wanted. And that is a really sad position to be in because you didn't have to be that way. And of course, no one showed you this. No one showed me this until it was shown to me by my mentor. The people that understand how the brain functions understand one thing, that gossip is a massive, massive mind poison. And just like your food, I'm sure you don't intently go out to eat poison. Even though there is a lot of poison, sugar's poison. We all know sugar's poison. But even though we don't go out of our way to do it, just like sugar, yes, gossip can make us feel excited. Gossip can make us feel good for now. Gossip can be a sugar hit 4 now, but it's causing a cancer and it's causing a long-term decline. You can change it. Follow this. I've put the questions underneath and I'd love to hear from you and tell me how you go.